roughly 6 years ago, we purchased the corner, which included a parking lot, 3 houses, actually 4 buildings and a parking lot. So at that time, it crossed our mind that someday we knew the whole block. It was zoned B2 commercial and had been for 40 years. So we knew that someday there's a potential for a commercial development on that block.
I think the main issue was just that the idea that they had, what they wanted to build, did not fit in with the character of the neighborhood. So citizens really wanted us to keep the neighborhood residential and not commercial. And the plan required knocking down some primarily residential structures, even if they were rentals, to build a strip mall. And that's not something that a lot of people seem to be comfortable with.
When the permitting issue originally came up, okay, Steve and Al Green came to this house and they came to Bob Hudson's house, trying to ask us to give the city permission to change the zoning from B2 commercial to B3 commercial. Steve Green had basically a hand-written sketch of mall that he wanted to put in next door, and a couple of Photoshop pictures of some of the stores from up in Perrysburg, right? Gave Mom a whole song and dance about how it was going to be okay and there wasn't going to be an issue and he was going to put yogurt shops in there and all this kind of shit, right? So it took Mom about 6 hours to figure out, and I sat down and talked with her for a long time and said, okay, this is what they're really going to do, okay? So they also gave her a check for $300 for the permit fee, okay? And of course, Mom's 85, she's very slow. When she finally figured out what it was that they were doing, and after she got done getting upset, about 3 or 4 days later, she took the application and the check and took it back over to Steve Green over at his office and said, we're not going to be doing this. Well, the Greens went to Bob Hudson, and since Bob Hudson is running an office out of the house anyway, he doesn't really care about the neighborhood because all you got to do is look at his house to see that he doesn't really care about what's going on. Bob Hudson said yes. Well, the city didn't really need, Steve Green didn't really need our approval to do what it was he was supposed to do. It would just be easier for him if we said yes. So, of course, Bob Hudson, and I told you about the little finger of property that's going, okay, well, in order for Steve Green to put his mall in there, he has to have that finger of property back there because his parking lot, if you look at the drawings, the parking lot runs right along that finger of property. So there's no way he can do it without that property.
The border on 6 properties. Vientos, that's 1. The green property that goes back this little 8-foot corridor along here, that's my property. So I border back on that. Because of that, I border on that property, and that property. They're all student rentals. The development needs that strip over there, and it needs the back part of my property to work smoothly.
We needed his backyard, and that's what we're going to use. As a matter of fact, I've got a long-term lease with Bob Hudson. He's going to, continue to keep his business in the house, and we're not going to do anything with it.
Aside from 1 or 2 people that I heard from, and very much later down the line, almost everybody was opposed to this plan, and so I saw my mission is to represent their voice. And if enough people, if that many people were telling me that this was a bad idea, I felt I needed to listen to that and to vote accordingly.
Yeah, it's going to be a nightmare. I mean, they're going to put a 6-foot wall right over there, which is 4 feet beyond my driveway. Is basically where the property line is. So they're going to put a 6-foot wall starting basically at the front of my garage, all the way back there, right where that driveway ends is basically our property line. So they're going to put another 4-foot wall, starting at the front of our house, right, all the way back there. Then they're going to put they want to put a two-way driveway on the other side of the wall. Well, 5 feet of grass. Okay, then the two-way driveway, and that's going to lead right up to the mow. You know, so it's going to be it's a funnel. It's going to be, I mean, the kids aren't going to know. They're going to be walking all over the place around here. So, I mean, how are they going to know what side of the wall to go in? They don't have any respect for the property now. Not to generalize. The kids that come up in the lawn don't have any respect for the property. They're in here. I had somebody in here taking a piss again over the weekend. I never really thought it was going to go through. I thought it was a joke. I was like, there's no way that the city of Bowling Green is going to let these guys do this, because they're not going to do that. But they had the 4 votes, so they got to get away with it.
It became obvious back before the first of the year that basically 4 of us would be in favor of the project rezoning, 3 would be against it. So I felt like after the fact that the 4 of us that were in favor of the project bent over backwards to accommodate the concerns of the 3 people that were against it, as well as the local residents that were against it. We could have just passed the B3 zoning 4-3, and that would have been the end of it. In this instance, it was fairly early in the process when in my mind I concluded that although the green project might not be what I would want if I were starting from scratch and could build anything I wanted to build there, that I thought it would be a significant improvement over what was currently there. And that was good enough. Basically, that was good enough for me.
We're looking to improve the community, so despite what some of the opposing folks may think that our motives are, it truly is. We love Bowling Green and Wood County, and we want it to be, we want it to grow, and we want it to be, we want it to progress, and we want it to keep up with modern trends rather than old-fashioned thinking.
I understand Mrs. Irwin, Todd's mother, not wanting any change at all because she's got longevity in the block, living here. She's got a nice house, but she is the last owner-occupied single-family home on Rooster Street in this area between downtown and the railroad.
And some residents were concerned that the minority of students who don't always act respectfully toward their neighbors might kind of congregate around the strip mall and make that area more of a traffic issue and a nuisance issue than already is the case. I think the problem for a lot of people was that they didn't know if these businesses that are going to be put in the strip mall are going to be sustainable over the long term. So they don't know if these are businesses that are going to come in and create jobs and stay for more than 5 months or not. You know, some of the businesses that we heard they wanted to attract are not ones that a lot of people felt were going to do well in Bowling Green, or at least do well in the long term in Bowling Green. And so that remains to be seen. I hope that's not true. I hope the places that come do really well, but I don't recall a lot of people being optimistic about that.
Program or project helps not only the community but the university and the kids and their families that come and visit this community. Hopefully we'll get this project done, we'll be sensitive to the needs of the folks that live right there, and it'll be good for the community and everybody will be happy, and a couple of years you can look back and say, wow, that's really good, it helps Bowling Green, and it didn't affect the couple folks that still live down there.
And I believe it should be done, and it will give me more peace and quiet in the long run. I do believe that.
Well, once it's all done, I think it'll be the kind of thing where most likely 3 or 4 years from now we'll look at this and say, geez, this is pretty nice. I can't believe we ever argued over this for months on end.
What's going to happen to the Irwin family?
I have no idea. We're not moving, if that's your question. Nor should we. I mean, would you?